So they want us to define a new function. Okay. Where you take the function f and multiply it by the function g. Which all that means is you're going to take this expression and multiply it by this expression. But often when we say multiply rationals, what you probably want to, and I'll probably say this again, but when you're multiplying, you really let me choose a smaller font here. When you multiply, you actually have to factor and cancel. So often multiply means factor and cancel. Okay, so hopefully the you don't get caught up in the abstract notation, but it's r of x is going to be given by multiplying f of x with g of x. But bottom line, you're going to take the 6x plus 30 over 7x plus 14 and multiply it by this expression, which is x squared plus 13x plus 22 over x squared plus 16x plus 55. Okay, but then again, we're gonna factor and cancel. So let's go one step at a time, right? So let's look at this piece. Notice that both 6x and 30 are divisible by 6. So that is going to be what we factor. And we're left with the binomial x plus 5. Because 6 times x is 6x. 6 times 5 is 30. Okay. And we've got another binomial over here. And both of those have a factor of 7 in common. In other words, the 7x and the 14 are both divisible by 7. So I'm going to factor out the 7 and I'm left with an x plus 2 because 7 times x is 7x. 7 times 2 is 14. So again, we're very much working on the factor part. Even though this is a multiplication problem, we first have to factor. So you can almost say this is step 1. And then we do have a trinomial over here. So let's circle that one in. Let's just pick up that brown color. So that's a trinomial. By now, some of you have gotten good at those, but others are still working on that. So and just keep in mind that I'm going to do some work over here, but then I'm going to erase it for space. So make sure that if you want that information that you're copying that as you're watching the video or listening here in the class. So I've got x, so I'm just gonna do some scratch work over here. X squared plus 13x plus 22. The nice thing about this one is that the coefficient here is 1. So this may be easier than it could be if there were a number over here, right? So I know right off the bat that's going to be an x. Now I have to think of all the ways of getting the product of 22. And there aren't actually very many ways. It's, 1 times 22. You could put negative signs on those, but we really don't need to worry about the negatives because there aren't any negatives in my trinomial. So I just need to worry about the positive ones. And then there's 2 times 11 or 11 times 2. And then you add them, and obviously this is the one that's going to give me the 13. So factoring that particular trinomial is quite easy. So I'm going to leave that up just for a few more seconds while I copy the x plus 2 and x plus 11. And I've got one more trinomial to work on. And then we'll go into step 2, which is going to be the cancel part. So let me get rid of all this scratch work. And I've got to do the same kind of thing now with this trinomial. And hopefully that one will be just as easy to factor. I've got x squared plus 16x plus 55. And you could, some of you might see it right off the bat and see, well, 11 times 5 is 55 and 11 plus 5 is 16. So there isn't a whole lot of work here. So it's x plus 11 and x plus 5. And so I'll leave that up for a little bit. Now we're on step 2, which is cancel. So I'm going to take my red pen. So anytime you see something in the numerator and in the denominator, you can cross out both of them. And just to be able to see them, we'll use a different color. X plus 2 is gone. And then x plus 11 and x plus 11 is gone. And when I say gone, anytime you take a value and divide it by itself, you get 1. So when we say cancel, they don't just disappear. We actually get a 1. But math instructors, math teachers will say cancel, but it really means you get a 1. Okay, and so that's it. All you're left with is 6/7. So this new function, if you'll probably just have to write 6/7, but r of x is the new function. It's 6/7, and that's a constant function. That's a flat line, but it came about by multiplying this and this. So it's simplified considerably to 6/7.